Not updated. I don't think this is the assignment. What was the assignment? Do you remember, guys? Ishma, Mariam, Samaira.
Positional something.
Sorry?
Chain and position isomerism.
Chain and position isomerism. ये अपलोड नहीं हुआ है. It's not been uploaded, I think. Okay, fine. I will ask Nishkar sir to update my thing, and all of you submitted. Hishma, Mariam, and Samaira.
Yes, sir.
Oh, all of you submitted. Okay, it's not good. Okay, so what did we learn? We learned cis and trans isomerism also, and we are going to study okay, fine, organic reaction mechanism from now. 4th of Jan. The day is Tuesday. Okay, so organic reaction mechanism. Okay, in what we are going to study here, we are going to see and look for some things which are common in all of the organic reactions. Okay, which are common in all of the organic reactions. So if I want to start with organic reaction and how are we going to study them, then there are a few things that you have to remember. Is there anyone who plays chess here? Or they know some things about chess? Huh, guys? Ishma, Mariam, Samaira, no one? Yes, Ishma? Ever played chess?
No, sir.
What about Mariam?
No, sir.
Samaira?
No, sir.
Ever seen a game or something? No, nothing?
That's the game.
No, sir.
You have seen game, Hishma. Okay, so you understand a few things like how chess is played. You understand some terms? Yes or no?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, fine. But if I want, let me see if I want to copy this. Yeah. So this is a chess position, right? Okay. I hope you have at least seen a chessboard and the what I would say, the pieces, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no. Okay, fine. Now, when you look at it, and if you are not very much who has not ever played chess, you will not understand anything, right? But an expert chess player, and if someone knows some things about chess, then they can say various things. Acha, you also know some things, na? Like in chess, what happens essentially is that you kill some of the opponent's pieces, right? At
Yes,
least you
sir.
know this. Okay, fine. So right now you don't know anything, but if you know some things about chess, then you will see that this queen can attack this horse, right? Fine. Other thing that you can see is that this queen here, it can attack this particular, what we say is a rook. Okay, it can attack this rook. But if this this black queen is going to attack this rook, then what can happen next? Then this rook can attack the queen. That is why what will this black queen will never attack this white. Okay, so see, I mean, just by seeing a few pieces, you understand of what things are going on. But this needs some practice. If you have ever done chess, then you may be able to see these things in the first instance. The same thing is true. The same thing is true if I talk about organic chemistry. Now, if I take a simple reaction, and I make a molecule like this, let us say Br plus NaOH, it is going to give me, there will be OH replaced here, plus H, NaBr. Okay, NaBr. Now, essentially, if you have done some elementary chemistry, then you can recognize that what is happening essentially in this reaction is Br is getting replaced by OH. Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And Br is getting replaced by OH. So it's very, I mean, analogous to the chess part. If someone who has never seen chemical species, they will never understand what is going on. They will only see letters and symbols, some signs here and there. Okay. Now, in the background, what else is going on? Okay, in the background, what else is going on? Now, this is the, I mean, this is the first picture that you can see. This is the first picture that you can see, that Br is getting replaced by OH. But there are a few things that you can also say about this particular reaction. You can also say that this carbon and this Cr bond, CBr bond, is broken. Yes or no? CBr bond is broken, correct?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, if the bond, bond is getting broken. So first thing that is happening, that before also going to the products, you will be breaking some bonds, correct? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? So we have to
Yes, sir.
master, we have to master, and we have to understand how the bonds can be broken and how the bonds can be formed. So before forming the bonds, what we will be doing, we will be breaking the bonds, okay? What we will be doing, we will be breaking the bonds, okay? So you write the topic, breaking of bonds. This is also known as bond fission, bond cleavage. Okay. Now, there are two types of fission, bond fission that can take place. One is known as heterolytic fission. And this is known as homolytic fission, heterolytic fission and homolytic fission. Now, in heterolytic fission and homolytic fission, what happens? So in heterolytic fission, the electron pair, of bond, the electron pair of bond. Now, if bond is broke, if the bond is getting broken, what is happening? The electron pair, it is getting removed from the atoms, right? It is getting removed from the two atoms. The electron pair of bond moves completely to the more electronegative atom, the more electronegative atom. For example, if I have a bond between A and B, okay, a bond between A and B, then what is going to happen here? Here, if we want to do a heterolytic fission, it means that there is a case in which the bond will be broken and it will go to B. And what will happen if A is giving both the electron pair? Okay, so there are two electron pairs. There are two electrons that is making a pair of electron. Both the electrons are going to B. So let me first of all, let us see what happens to B. So B will obviously be getting a negative charge. Similarly, A, which is giving one of its electron to B, it will be getting a positive charge. Okay, so tell me, you understand these two things? First of all, heterolytic fission and how the bond is broken in heterolytic fission. This is one way in which the bond can be broken, right? Now, here what will happen? One electron goes to each combining atom. That is A and B, and this is shown by single-headed arrow. Okay, that means A will get one electron. So there was two electron. This red electron, let us suppose, was from A, and this green electron, it was from B. So this A electron is, this red electron is with A now, and the B is having its green electron. So that is why what I can say is there is no change in the charges. Okay, so A has 1 electron and B has got 1 electron. They are getting, both of them are getting their own electrons. So write this. Let me know if you're done.
Done, sir.
Done, all of you? You understand these 2 points? Yes or no? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so heterolytic fission and homolytic fission. Okay, now the next term that is important is that you recognize these things. Okay, you recognize these things. Okay, now for this I will say, for homolytic fission, I will say the condition. There are a few conditions. The conditions are helper. H means heat. If you provide heat, then this free radicals, these are known as free radicals. The free radicals will be formed. You can also give electricity. Okay, electric. L means light. Per means peroxide. Okay, so if you have any of these things in the arrow, helper, then any one of these, okay, not all of them, any one of them, then you will be getting free radicals. Okay, then you will be getting free radicals. Let me know if you're done.
Done, sir.
Done, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. Next, you remove. If you have, okay, this is the A is positive charge, na? Yes or no? A is positive charge. So A will be attracted to electron or repelled with electrons. Tell me. A will be attracted to electrons or repelled by electrons?
Attracted.
Attracted by electrons. Okay, so we call whatever is getting attracted by electron, we call them as electrophiles. Electrophile. What about B? B is negative charge. It will be repelled by electrons, so not electron. Now, what about nucleus? Nucleus is positive charge, and nucleus will be attracting this B. Okay, so B will be attracted towards nucleus. That is why these are known as nucleophile. Okay, these are known as nucleophile. Now, nucleo means nucleus of mainly carbon atoms. Okay, so if you have, these are electrophile, these are electron poor, and these are electron rich. We will be defining electrophile and nucleophiles in more detail, but right now what you do, write a question. Show heterolytic fission. Show heterolytic fission of the following bonds with curved arrow. Okay, so what is curved arrow? See, the curved arrow shows the movement of electrons. Okay, it shows the movement of electron. It will be always starting from some source of electron. Okay, so we'll be writing about what are the electron sources and what are the electron sinks, or what are the electron rich sites and what are the electron poor sites. Okay, so write some question. So these are the bonds that you have to break. Okay, fine. So Hishma, you will tell me, in this A, we have bond between carbon and bromine. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Which is more electronegative? Do you know which is more electronegative? Yes or no? Tell me.
Bromine.
Bromine is more electronegative. Very good. Okay, bromine is more electronegative. So both the electrons will go to bromine and you will be forming CH3 positive plus Br negative. Okay. Any problem, Mariam, Samaira, Hishma?
No, sir.
Okay. So first of all, what you have to identify only electronegative atom. What is the electronegative atom? Okay, fine. Here, tell me again. The bond is between carbon and copper. Which is more electronegative?
Copper.
Yes, Samaira.
Copper.
Copper. Okay. Why do you think it is more electronegative? In periodicity chapter, I think I gave you the electronegativity series. Na? We learned about electronegativity also. Also, what is copper? A metal or non-metal? Tell me, Samaira. Copper is a metal or non-metal?
It was between what?
अरे ऐसे लोहार आपको आके मारेगा, कॉपर को आप मेटल बोलिएगा बीच में है. कॉपर इज अ मेटल ना?
Yes.
नो, है ना? कॉपर, आयरन, these things are metal. Okay, don't see, maybe you may be thinking like transition elements hai, so it is between alkali metals and the non-metal, that is why it will be between metal and, no, the metallic character is low but it is a metal, right? The metallic character is low but it is a metal. Okay, it is lower than lithium sodium, so it is a metal. Okay, what is the definition of metal? I hope you have learned something new from me in the definition of metal. It is not regarding lustrous or ductile or malleable. Okay, what is the chemical definition? I would say the molecular level, elemental level definition for a metal. Metal has the tendency to, don't remember, Mariam, Samaira, Ishma, anyone?
Lose electron.
Yes, fine. So tell me now, which is more electronegative? If copper is losing electrons, it wants to lose electron, then obviously it will not be a more electronegative substance. Okay, so here CH, the carbon here is more electronegative. That is why I will show it like this: CH3 negative plus you will be getting copper positive. Now here copper and sulfur is present. Which is more electronegative, copper or sulfur? Sulfur. Acha, do you remember the electronegativity series? First of all, tell me that. Mariam, do you remember the electronegativity series?
No, sir.
No.
Sir, I remember the starting
बोलिए.
phone kare something.
फोन करे something. Yeah, correct. It's phone kal bihari ishq pyar hai na?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
did I not? है ना? So in that you have, I can't find that. Fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, bromine, phone kal bihari, iodine, sulfur, carbon, carbon followed by phosphorus and then hydrogen. So obviously sulfur is, अरे नहीं, ये तो हम पूरे उल्टा ही बना दी. Sorry, I got the signs wrong. Sulfur is greater than carbon. Yeah, right. So the electron flow will be from the bond. Okay, you always start with bond and to an atom. So you'll be getting again CH3 positive plus SCH3 negative. Now, what about here in the D? Which is more electronegative? Now, carbon and carbon is there. Tell me, which carbon is more electronegative? Which carbon is more electronegative?
The
CN.
second one.
Second carbon, na? Because it is attached to nitrogen. Nitrogen is electronegative. It will be pulling all the electrons. Okay. Also, one more thing. It is what? This is sp3 hybridized. This is sp hybridized because C and N has triple bond. Now, if you have sp hybridized, that means the bonded electron, these electrons, na, this bonded electrons, it will be closer to the nucleus because it has more s character. The electrons, it will be closer to the carbons, this carbon's nucleus, because it has more s character. And s character means what? S character means that you're near to the nucleus. If you're near to the nucleus, that means you're near to the atom, that is of Cn atom. That is why you'll be taking the bond like this: CH3 positive plus Cn negative. Okay, so write this down. Let me know if you're done.
Done, sir.
Done? Okay. Now, let us define electrophiles and nucleophiles, right? Electrophiles and nucleophiles. Acha. By the way, I want to show you a few things first of all. Okay, electrophiles and nucleophiles. We can, yeah, we can include them later. But let me show you a few things regarding the curved arrow formalism. Electron movement. In organic chemistry. Okay, this whole thing is also known as, the curved arrow formalism. Okay, curved arrow formalism. What does it do? It represents the flow of electron. It represents what? Flow of electrons. It always starts from electron source and electron and ends on electron sink. Okay, and ends on electron sink. Got it? Fine. Now, electron sources. What are electron sources? Write this. Electron sources. Okay, so electron source you will have, for example, if you have an X atom and there is a lone pair here. Okay, you have X atom and there is a lone pair. So the arrow will start like this. Okay, it will be going to some electron sink. The other thing that you can have is, for example, if you have X has a triple bond Y, then this pi electrons will be moving and it will be going towards some electron sinks. Then you can also have X double bond Y. Okay, it will be starting from this bond because it is electron rich here. It has some electrons and it will be going to some other electron sink. You can also have X single bond Y and this will be going somewhere else. Okay, this will be going to some electron sinks. This will be going to some electron sinks. Now, what are the electron sinks? See, the number one electron sink is, if you will have a, okay, what can you say about this particular molecule? Is the octet complete for this molecule? Tell me. No, no, six electrons only. So what you will be seeing, you will be seeing this type of arrow. Okay. And then if you have, let us say X, Y, and if Y is more electronegative, then this bond will be going to Y. Okay. So this Y is more electronegative here. And that is why it is eating up the electron. Okay. Y is more electronegative. Next, you can also have a similar thing, but with X double bond Y. Then what will happen? It will go here. Okay. Then similarly, if you have X triple bond Y, then it can go here. Okay. Now, please see that every curved arrow, every curved arrow forms, it will either forms and or I mean it can also break and or breaks a bond. It means that simultaneously it can also happen that a single curved arrow is breaking a bond, and it is also forming a bond. Okay, it is also forming a bond, but it can also happen in the case such as the electron sink second case. You can see that it is only breaking a bond here. Okay, it is only breaking a bond. So it will be either forming and or breaking a bond. It will not be jumping from atom to atom. Okay, don't let me write it. Electrons don't jump write this down. Let me know if you're done.
Done, sir.
Okay, now let me show you the case that we were seeing now, the reaction that we were seeing, what is happening there. Okay, so see, we have sodium hydroxide. This was the reaction like this. Plus NaOH. Okay, now it is going to give me some product. The product was already given, but now we have some idea about how the reactions work. So what I will do is I can write this particular molecule as carbon, and there are some hydrogens, and then Br. Yes or no? Now this sodium hydroxide, it is like this: Na plus and OH negative. Yes or no, guys? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
So OH negative, as you know, that it will be having some electron pairs like this. Okay, yes or no, guys? This is something that you have to know, that there will be some lone pair electrons, and where are the lone pair electrons? You have to know where are the lone pair electrons. Okay, there is no denying from there. Now what can happen here? What can happen? This also, this Br is also having lone pairs. Okay, you want to write them, you can write them, but this oxygen lone pairs are more important because it has a negative charge. Now this bond can break like this, correct? And what will happen then? Slowly this OH negative, it will be forming a bond, carbon atom, forming a bond with atom. What will happen then? OH bond is forming, and then okay, we have Na positive and we have Br negative, which is leaving with the electrons. So you understand this mechanism? Tell me, you understand how the arrows are used?
Yes, sir.
Tell me. Okay. So there are a few things that you should always take care and always remember. So remember, whenever you are drawing these type of arrows and you are writing the mechanism, first of all, you have to remember the implied hydrogens. I mean, we will be writing bond line structures. So there will be two hydrogens here and here, right? So you must remember them. Okay, you don't forget that there are some hydrogens here and there. Implied hydrogens, and more importantly, lone pairs. Don't forget the lone pairs. Keep in mind the lone pairs. Secondly, you have to map the atom, map the atoms of a reactant and product. Mapping the atom, I will tell you what does it mean. Mapping the atom, it means like right now we have a very small structure that is why we don't need to map it. Mapping means just giving the numbers. Okay, so if one carbon, and if the one carbon is breaking the bond, then the one carbon will be forming the bond. So we map the atoms of the reactants and product to take care of that. But after some practice, you don't need to do that. Okay, also take care of what are the bonds broken. and bonds formed. Okay. So these are the things that you have to always remember. You know if you're done?
Done, sir.
Done, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, yeah, we want to learn about the electrophile and the nucleophiles, right? And electron sources and electron sinks we have seen. The did you write here that this Y is more electronegative atom? Okay, more electronegative. Okay, and this is electron poor, electron deficient, 6 electron species, right? Also, some you can also have some so electron sinks like this, that there will be individual X positive charge. So again, this is also an example of electron poor because it does not have any electron. So that is already covered here, but you can write that as an example. Yeah. So let us move on and write things about electrophiles and nucleophiles. Nucleophile and electrophiles. Okay, nucleophile and electrophiles, right? A reagent that brings electron pairs. A reagent that brings an electron pair okay, to form bond is called nucleophile. It will be generally shown as Nu, and there will be a lone pair like this. Okay, Nu, and there will be a lone pair. Sometimes you will also see a negative charge. So Nu is the short form for nucleophile. And what are electrophiles? What are electrophiles? What are electrophiles? A reagent that takes away electron pair to form bond. Okay, electron pair to form bond. That is this. These are electron loving. They are generally shown as E positive. Okay, this positive sign, it shows that they are electron positive. Okay, now write a general scheme: substrate plus reagent. This is going to give you, okay, plus reagent. It is first of all going to give you intermediate, and then it is going to give you product. Okay, now this reagent can be of two types. Now this reagent can be of two types. It is either nucleophile or it can be electrophile, right? It can be electrophile or it can be also neutral. Okay, can be also neutral. You don't have to worry because of neutral. I mean, generality is not neutral. Intermediates can be of three types, as we have seen, right? Intermediates can be of three types. You will have either a cationic, anionic, or free radical, right? You can have cationic, anionic, or free radical. Write it down. Let me know if you're done.
Done, sir.
Done. Okay. Now tell me if this nucleus, if this if this nucleophile is, if the reagent is nucleophile, then the substrate, it should have an electrophilic site, yes or no? If the reagent is electron rich, then the substrate, it should have some electron poor site, then only the nucleophile can attack the substrate. True?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And similarly, if you identify the reagent, if you identify that it is electropositive, sorry, what I'm saying, if the reagent is what it is, electrophilic, that means it seeks electron, there will be some electron rich site in the substrate, then only it can attack, yes or no? Then the
Yes, sir.
electron rich, okay, fine. So now, right, there are two cases. If the nucleophile, sorry, if the reagent is, substrate means the organic molecule, okay? If the reagent is nucleophile, it would attack an electrophilic site, that means electron poor site, and the reaction is called nucleophilic reaction. Okay, that means if the reagent is nucleophile, okay, so whatever the reaction we are going to study, they are classified in the, on the basis of the type of reagent we are using. Now, similarly, if the reagent is electrophile, it would attack at an electron rich site, in the substrate, and the reaction is called electrophilic reaction. Reaction is called electrophilic reaction.
Done, sir.
Wait a second. No. So important thing is that you identify the electrophile and nucleophiles. Okay. So write a question. Electrophile and nucleophile from following. Okay, from following. So right, SH negative, BF3, C2H5O negative. Then you can have CH3 whole thrice and N. Cl positive. You can also have CH3, double bond carbon, the bond oxygen, and the positive charge here. You can also have NH2 negative. You can have NO2. The identification of nucleophiles are easier because if you have negative charge, that means it is obviously electron rich, right? So electron rich and electron poor. So electron rich sites are easy to find because you will have either a negative charge that you can easily see or a lone pair that you can easily see, right? Try to write the answers and then we can move. Let me know if you're done, okay? Yes, guys, done. Isma, Mariam, Samaira, are you having any difficulty? Let me know.
Done, sir.
Done. Okay. So what are the nucleophiles? So I will be labeling them in, let us say, yellow. So these are nucleophile, SH negative, C2OH, C2H5O negative. Then this is also a nucleophile. Then this is a nucleophile. Okay. But let us see about these terms. Okay. BF3. Let us look at B. Now, can you see why it is electrophile? Can you guys tell me why it is electrophile?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Its octet is not complete.
Its octet is not complete. Very good. Okay. So all the green ones that I have labeled, these are what? These are electrophiles. Okay. These are electrophiles. So the nucleophiles, they will have an unshared electron pair. Okay, they will have unshared electron pair. So see, this is unshared electron pair. Similarly, this negative charge, it represents unshared electron pairs. And if I see in the electrophiles, they have, I can say 6 electron pairs, right? Yeah, most of them have 6 electron pairs. Octet is not complete. Done? Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us write another question. Identify the let us say electrophilic in following. Okay, electrophilic site in following. So A, you have CH3 and then you have CHO. Okay, like this, a molecule like this, and hydrogen here is here, and you have CH3. There's a carbon atom here, don't forget. B is that you have CH3, it is attached to CN. It is attached to CN. Okay, Then furthermore, you have maybe right, C part. In C, you have CH3, it is attached to Br. Okay. Now, as you can see, whenever you are trying to identify the electrophilic sign, you look at the electronegative atom in a particular molecule. So this is oxygen, it is more electronegative. It will be pulling up the electrons. So making this particular carbon atom getting some delta positive charge. Okay, you understand this part? Yes or no? Tell me.
Yes,
You
sir.
have seen this happening in the states of matter electrophilic. If you have electrons, then it will pull some electrons and it will get delta positive. Similarly, you see the structure here, CH3CN. You may be thinking like CH3, there's a carbon and then there is a triple bond nitrogen here. So obviously this nitrogen is what? This nitrogen is very electronegative and this will be getting delta positive charge. Similarly, this carbon will be getting a delta positive charge here. You understand this thing? Yes or no? Tell me.
Yes.
Okay. Let us again revisit. See, we are gaining some kind of clarity and we are developing some terminologies. And let us again look at this reaction that is with CH3Br. Okay. And we have OH negative as of now. Okay. We are not concerned about, Na+. Na plus is what we call as spectator ion. वो कुछ करता नहीं, it is just there, it just sees whatever is happening. So we call those type, it does not participate in, it does not participate in the reaction. It participates to some extent, but not to a very large extent. Okay. That means it forms the NABR bond, obviously, so it is participating in the reaction, but it is not participating with anything, it is not doing anything with the substrate. Now, here, as you can see, now, first of all, you will identify. So tell me, is this a nucleophilic reaction or an electrophilic reaction? So tell me, the reagent is what? Nucleophile or electrophile? Reagent. Reagent means this molecule here. It is an electrophile or nucleophile?
Nucleophile.
Very good. Nucleophile. Okay. It is a nucleophile, and that means it is going to seek and it is going to try to identify which of the following carbons, which of the carbons that is present, which of the carbon is a electrophilic carbon. So here what you identify, the most electronegative element, that is Br, and that is why this carbon atom, it will be getting a delta positive charge, and C negative and positive, it will be attracting each other. And this is the reaction rate. Okay, this is the reaction rate. So you will be getting OH and carbon. The hydrogens will be like this, plus Br, I will say Br negative. Okay, Br negative, right? So this is a reagent nucleophile, and the reaction is nucleophilic. Nucleophilic is the organic part. Now, if I see just plain simple general chemistry, then I can say it is a substitution reaction. That is why this is nucleophilic substitution reaction. Any problem? Tell me. Any problem?
No, sir.
No. Okay, fine. Write this down fast. Then I want to discuss a very important point regarding intermediates.
Done, sir.
Okay. Now, I want to, yeah. Let us suppose you have a reaction. You have substrate. This is like this. A, then you have B, plus there is some, let's say, nucleophile. Okay. And you're forming A positive, and then nucleophile forming A positive, right? This is the intermediate. Okay, this is the intermediate. Okay, this is intermediate. Let us suppose you have an intermediate that is A positive, and there is another intermediate which is, let us suppose it is another reaction. P is bonded to B plus nucleophile, and you're getting an intermediate which is P positive. Okay, P positive. So what do you think? If I talk about stability, whenever you have a charged species, whenever you have charged species, one rule you can say is charge is bad for stability. Okay, all of you agree with this? Yes or no? I think you may remember we did some first principles of chemistry. In that, I think I would have told you that the charge or charge density is bad for stability. Yes or no? You remember?
Yes, sir.
Or okay, fine. So charge is bad for stability. Now, what do you think which will be more reactive? Question. A reaction in which the intermediate is stable. Okay, there's a reaction in which intermediate is stable, and there's another reaction. Okay, reaction in which the intermediate is not stable. Okay, so let us suppose you have two intermediate, A positive and P positive. Okay, A positive and P positive. I am seeing that A positive, it is more stable than P positive. Now tell me which reaction, this is one reaction, this is second reaction, which reaction will happen faster? Which reaction will happen faster?
Second one.
Second one will happen faster. Okay, can you tell me why? Because it is very unstable. It will react faster, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Thinking that way, na? That see, since A is stable, that means it is it's not very much reactive, and this P is positive, it is very unstable. That is why it will be very reactive. Okay, but okay, let us see where A is coming from and where P is coming from. Okay, so A is coming from AB and P is coming from PB. Yes or no? It is the bond is breaking like this. This bond is breaking like this. Correct? Hishma, Mariam, Samaira.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now I want you to tell me. If P positive is unstable, will it form P positive more or A positive form? Which will be formed more? A positive will be formed more or P positive will be formed more? What do you think? Yes, Hishma, Samaira, and Mariam.
Sir, could you repeat the question?
I'm asking, think about in terms of stability. We have said that A positive is more stable than P positive. Now you tell me, if A positive is more stable, then this reaction can happen faster. Yes or no? AB can break the bond easily. True? Yes or no? Tell me. Yes, Hishma, Mariam, Fatima. Hishma, Mariam, Samaira. Are you not listening? Are you not getting my point? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What did I ask?
If this reaction will take faster if it's stable.
You tell me, which will be faster? Tell me. If A is more stable than P, if A positive is more stable than P positive, then which bond is easier to break? AB bond or PB bond?
PB.
Achha, PB bond is easier to break? Yeah.
Yes,
Why? Can you tell me that? Explain on that.
because it's less stable.
What is less stable? P positive or PB?
P positive.
P positive is less stable, na? We are not told anything about the PB bond. Okay, so let us suppose that PB and AB bonds are same. They have same strength. Okay. Think in terms of thermodynamics that you are learning, right? So if I'm talking about unstability, that means I'm talking about higher energy. This is energy diagram here. Okay, this is energy. So both AB and PB are here. Both AB and PB are here. But if I want to make both of their bonds are here. If I want to make A positive, I have to increase this much energy. But if I want to make P positive, it will be higher energy because it is what? It is less stable, right? Tell me, this is A positive and this is P positive. Now you tell me which is easier to form, A positive or P positive?
P positive.
A positive.
A positive. All of you understand this now? Any
Yes.
problem? No problem, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that means if you have more stable, now if P positive is not even being formed, then how it is going to react? A positive will be formed in a very large number. A positive will be formed in a very large number, and what can happen? It can react with whatever nucleophile or whatever whatever nucleophile is present. If P positive is difficult to make, what does that mean? It will be very low in concentration and it will not show a high reactivity. That means for us, the rate of reaction is directly proportional to stability of intermediate. Tell me. Write this point down. The rate of reaction is directly proportional to the stability of intermediate. That means if the intermediate is stable, that will form in a more quantity and then our reaction can proceed further. Please remember that. If we are making A positive, then after that we will be obviously making another molecule, that is A, and nucleophile will be attached. So obviously A is going to react with nucleophile. Okay, it is, even though it is, if I compare the stabilities of A positive and P positive, it doesn't matter because they are charged species. They never want to be in charged species if they can go towards a stable neutral species. Okay, so we are not comparing the reactivity of A positive and P positive to tell the rate of reaction. What we are talking, we say stability of intermediate. Why? Because if the intermediate is stable intermediate, then more concentration of intermediate. Okay, so that is why the rate of reaction is directly proportional to stability of intermediate. Write this down. Let me know if you're done, then we can move on. Oh yeah, you can leave. Sorry, move on. Kya hoga ab?